So why can't you maintain your expansions? The good little feeling you have when you're going out, doing the things you want to do, doing the things that you love doing? Simple. You're not meant to. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Middays with Michael. I'm your host, the Royal Triangle Michael, and I am cutting out the esoteric middleman and giving you the tools you need to connect yourself right to the source. Now, that being said, what exactly are your expansions and what exactly are we talking about? Well, I kind of explained in the beginning. Good times, the bad times, aka the expansive times and the contractive times. I know you can't see my hands, but they're like that. With that being said, why can't we maintain our expansions? And there's a couple reasons for this, and I'm going to give you a little hint about how you can actually learn about how you can go about maintaining your expansions. So everything is an expansion and a contraction. A wave, basically. We all know waves. You can visualize this being like the ocean, but you can also look at this as being like a sine wave or, any other kind of mathematical wave that you want to envision. Everything goes up, down, and then eventually back into a middle point, a point where we're kind of stuck in limbo, where everything feels okay, but doesn't exactly feel okay. Now, obviously, I can give the cop-out answer that since energy travels in waves and experiences also travel in waves, that we could just say that it's a wave, so at one point or another, you're going to be in the high end, the low end, or somewhere in the middle. However, I'm going to go a little bit deeper than that because that's what I do. So before we actually start talking about how to maintain your expansions or understanding when you're in an expansion or contraction period, let's actually talk about your homeboy Lucifer. So real quick, when creation was all being created and whatnot, and Lucifer was maintaining the first expansion before the first contraction period, the birth of the first things in existence, as Lucifer was maintaining that, eventually it had to go back in, right? Lucifer eventually got lost into himself from trying to maintain that expansion for too long, and then eventually fell into himself and lost his whole purpose, which Lucifer's purpose in the first place was to show other spirits how to maintain their expansions. But when you get lost into yourself, you can't exactly show people how to maintain their own expansions. Now, can you? No. So with the being who is supposed to help us maintain expansions kind of getting lost into himself, I guess you can imagine that it would be quite difficult for us. Now, we already kind of know when we're in an expansion, when we're in a contraction, based on our own state of being, right? I don't need to explain this. You guys already know what I'm talking about. The high points, the low points, the points where we feel just content. That's the middle point. There is a thing that you can do to actually understand how you can get into an expansion, how to expand, and actually what to do when you're in a contraction or when you know when you're in a contraction. And that's actually looking at your nodes. You have two nodes, the north node and the south node, and they go off of the moon travel. Now, the north node is your path towards expansion, and your south node is your contraction. The north node is the things that make you feel uncomfortable because by going through uncomfortable things, we feel or experience growth. And the south node are the things that make you feel comfortable, what you're used to, your contraction periods. It's also the energy that you took with you from a past life, which is why it is your things that make you feel comfortable, right? It's the things that you turn to when you are going through a contraction. It's because it's familiar to you. That energy is familiar to you. So your north node and south node have signs as well as houses. So if your north node is in Pisces, your south node is going to be in Virgo. They're actually opposites of each other, right? So if your north node is in Libra, your south node is in Aries. The point of this is actually to show you how you can actually expand and contract when you need to, and actually understanding your own path. The north node and south node can actually give you a great tool of actually finding your own spiritual path and understanding what you need to do and understanding where you came from. When we're trying to expand and grow, it's usually the process that feels like work to us. It's the path that we're heading, the things we're not familiar to. And so with that being said, this is where the north node comes into. By going through that north node process, by experiencing that north node energy and actually understanding what makes you uncomfortable and why, you can actually learn how to go through that spiritual journey and actually grow and expand and maintain that expansion. Eventually though, you're going to have to contract at some point, but that's life, that's experience. Now, for example, if you had the north node in Virgo, then you would know that your expansion comes with the work process, planning, blueprinting, structuring, making the plan, executing the plan. We're not going to continue the rest of that meme because nobody wants that to happen.
Make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, throw away the plan.
So your path towards expansion actually involves a lot of work. It actually involves the work process, and it is, in its nature, uncomfortable. On the flip side of that, your contraction period or your contractions revolve around your south node. So if your north node is in Virgo, your south node is going to be in Pisces. And this means that the things that are comfortable to you, the things that you usually resort to when things are getting rough and you need to feel comfortable and actually retreat a little bit, the things that make you feel comfortable are going to be very dreamy, something that makes you feel stable, something that makes you feel good, something that is pleasurable. Remember that Venus is exalted in Pisces. So of course, with your south node being in Pisces, you know that the things that make you feel comfortable, the things that you're used to, are going to be things that have a lot to do with Venus. Now, what these things are for you depends on you. So I can't exactly tell you exactly what you should be doing because, you know, it depends on you and like your own spiritual journey. But regardless of that point, if your South Node is in Pisces and it's time to contract, then you know what you need to do. Do the opposite of the work process. Relax a little bit, hang out, go with the flow, see what happens, do what's comfortable for you, but don't forget to actually appreciate the hard work that you've put in. Don't forget to actually look at the work process, look at what you've built for yourself and be like, damn, I did that. Now don't forget that the nodes are actually placed in astrological houses. You could have your North Node in your first house, then your South Node would be in your 7th house, and vice versa. And don't forget, if you actually want to see how these are laid out in your own astrological chart, you can actually go to solarsystem.org, the best astrology site ever, and go get your solar map, see where the North Node and South Node actually line up in your body for you, and what astrological houses they are actually transiting, so you know what areas of life that they are affecting you in. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Why you can't maintain expansions, because you're not meant to. Everything's a wave, everything comes and goes, ebbs and flows. But by understanding what things you're working for and what things you find comfortable, you can actually understand how to expand, how to contract, and know what to do when you're actually in those positions. So with that being said, if you guys liked the video, like, comment, subscribe, do all that. Let us know what you guys want us to talk about next, especially any astrological information you want, any sign breakdown, any house breakdown, you just let us know. And until next time, bye y'all.